everyone. Okay, so one thing I really liked about this chapter is how it contrasted public versus private perception of Shigaraki. The public perception is, of course, the obvious one. In the eyes of so many people, Shigaraki was just exactly how people would perceive him. An evil monster, a tyrant, a terrorist, a villain, basically just all forms of he was an absolute villain who destroyed so many lives and so many people's lives and killed so many people so many people that others care about. And the truth is that public perception isn't wrong in a way. As much as we might sympathize with Shigaraki's plight as the reader and everything he's been through, ultimately his decisions were his own. I mean, yes, there was manipulation by All for One, but in a way, All for One was really just feeding into was just watering seeds that had already been planted. But it was just watering and tending to seeds that had already been planted. Those seeds just kind of grew into something that unfortunately was was exactly how everything turned out ultimately. But but then, of course, interspliced in between all that, we have the private perception, which takes the form of the conversation between Spinner and Izuku. And this is where things get kind of interesting too, because I on top of the fact of we do get that perception as well, though, that for however much of it, for however evil Shigaraki's actions were, ultimately they did have purpose in a way, and they gave purpose to pretty much others, even if it was on the wrong side of the law. Like Spinner, as he rightfully admits, he had no purpose in life. He was just someone who was just waiting to die. He was going to die. He was going to either kill himself, or he was just going to rot away into nothingness. But Shigaraki gave him purpose. He was, again, as Spinner rightfully admits, Shigaraki was his best friend. They were Shigaraki was someone he bonded with, someone he found genuine kinships, someone he could follow and be behind. And in that same token, I like how Spinner also admits that, yeah, I kind of failed to save my best friend. I failed to stop him from probably taking things from too far, from just going down the absolute wrong path he should have. And I I do like the idea that it is up to how he doesn't even deny either one of these factoids. He doesn't deny the fact that Shigaraki did evil things, but he also doesn't deny what Spinner says either. He accepts that, yeah, it that ultimately Shigaraki was someone who did change. Even if Shigaraki did evil things, he was still someone who did change lives for the better as well. And I I definitely like I definitely like the advice he did give Spinner, that it's kind of up to both of them in order to keep keep Shigaraki's memory like punched close to their chest, and just remember that, yes, for better or worse, he did change things. And I especially like how Izuku does, he does pass on Shigaraki's final words to Spinner, and saying, yeah, these words, they weren't for anyone else but you. And again, it does kind of reinforce that bond. And I especially like Izuku's little line about, hey, if you want people to remember Shigaraki, why not write a comic book? Like, yeah, again, it's one of those little meta jokes I like. But okay. With all that said, let's talk about the and that said, let's talk about the other thing, which is to say that yeah, we finally we weirdly enough get a little bit of we weirdly enough get resolution to the whole like to the whole like whole pretty much Chisaki Eri saga with the Yakuza boss who Chisaki served visiting him in prison. And I I I will admit this was one of those things that did feel like it came out of nowhere, but I'm happy we're at least getting some resolution to this, because this was one of those storylines that just felt like it kind of was always lingering. Like, why did it take so long for this to be resolved? I guess, but again, reminder that the boss, I guess, was in a coma. But but I I will say right out of the gate, I like how I do like how this whole conversation went down. I like how we have the Yakuza boss basically not even mincing words, saying no. You're a fucking asshole for everything you fucking did, and you gotta own up to that shit right here, right now. And you're owning up. You better use that. You better use that time in prison to fucking own up to that shit. And I also like how the boss especially reinforced the point about Eri, that if you want to apologize to someone, apologize to Eri, not to me. I'm disowning your ass right here. Like, again, I'm making it sound a lot more comedic than it is, but I really like how the boss was like, fuck you, fuck the shit you were on, and like just start doing some self-reflection, dumbass. Like, it feels like I feel so vilified, and like in like just everything Chisaki was doing was just the absolute wrong way to do it. And it's like the man was just telling him change for the better. Like, I kind of like that. And I one thing I will say too is I like how this chapter did kind of reinforce a point of like that because of Nomu, even if like the Nomu were initially created for evil purposes and whatnot. I do like how this chapter also kind of reinforced the idea of medical science having a breakthrough and advancement because of Nomu research. Like, it was, again, it was first introduced. It was first shown with the doctor explaining how they managed to bring like from Spinner like back from the brink, and how even, yes, he can transform, but he can also control the power now. He can also control all those powers within him, pretty much because of Nomu research. And it's also that same Nomu research that had pretty much brought that had brought that had brought the pretty much boss back from the dead, from out of his coma, in order to talk to Chisaki. And I think the correlation with this is definitely like stem cell research in a way. Like, no, I think Nomu research and how it's been adapted in this chapter to medical science, it very much does kind of feel like stem cell research in a way. And it's parallel I can definitely get behind in a way. Like, yeah, there are medical advancements that can be that can be useful, I think, with that kind of research, even if it's a little controversial. And and yeah, and obviously the end of the chapter kind of sees that, yeah, the next phase, so to speak, is that, yeah, all the characters you come to know, they're pretty much second years now. And there's a new crop of first years popping up, which yeah, I will admit, it is kind of one of those things where it's like, this definitely feels like Horikoshi may be setting up for potential spin-off in the future, if it's possible. But it's like, with the way that with the way that Horikoshi was already kind of with the way that Horikoshi's story was already like kind of limited from Jump and how he could tell his story, I don't know if the spin-off is really a great idea, honestly. And but Yeah, but as a whole, yeah, I just really liked how this chapter was kind of about keeping our perceptions of a person like close to our chest, and just how we perceive them. And I really like how Izuku does kind of make a point of telling Spinner as well that yeah, I'm going to remember everything Shigaraki had said. I'm going to remember his words and keep them close to my chest. But also that yes, they are going to continue fighting for that future. And in a way, I do like how things didn't end all like hunky dory. All like everything is everything is going to be perfect now. Like no, there there is still a there are still unfortunate steps that need to be taken first in order for that vision of a real future in order for a real future of the world to be possible. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Share the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Me, signing off. Later, everyone.